Uh, okay. I wanted to make sure the mic was on. Doing arms today. Yes, I washed my clothes. Every once in a while, I just feel the need to preface that because I'm very habitual based or habit based. I like wearing the same shit. Anyways, um, speaking of, actually, I'll get to that. Let me talk about the lift real quick. Um, Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just doing arms, so biceps, triceps, forearms. Probably gonna start with forearms because one, I do kind of just enjoy finishing off with biceps. Um, uh, but depending on how today goes, I might go back to starting with biceps because I do feel like my elbows, or elbows plural, I guess, feels a little bit better when I'm able to start off and get the biceps really all warmed up. And then by the time I move over to triceps, get my triceps warmed up, then kind of, both sides of the joint are lubed up per se. And I feel like my elbows feel a little bit better. So, but that being said, I probably could have gone. Oh well. With that being said, today the plan is to do basically the same shit as normal. I'm thinking 8 to 9 sets. I have been enjoying the lower volume somewhat. That's how I used to train, especially through prep. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I started moving towards higher volume training just because mentally I was kind of burnt out or bored of the lower volume stuff, but I'm starting to get a little bit more intrigued back into it, or at least a mixture of the two. But so I'm thinking anywhere between 8 to 10 sets, might even be less, but probably not. So triceps. Start out with the Vulcan. I'm thinking for today, or maybe a time being, I might be doing a little bit slightly higher volume. Still doing the like kind of, half of my volume being like time and attention based, scientific style rep tempo setup, and then the other half more kind of volume based. But usually I try and really go as heavy as reasonably possible for the lower volume because that's what makes the most sense. The heavier weight that you're using, you just don't have the right of way just because you're walking. Okay, flip me off, I guess. What a jerk. What an actual jerk. Anyways, so yeah, makes the most sense to, use as heavy weight as you can, with still getting, the reps done right because that's going to allow you to recruit more motor units essentially in the beginning half of or in the earlier reps of your set. Anyhow, as I was saying, I think I'm going to not really have any sets that are below 10 reps as far as tricep training goes, simply just because that's going to allow me to use less load. Basically, with how my elbow, mostly my left elbow, has been feeling, the heavier load, it's just feeling a little iffy on that tendon. I always forget and mix up tendons and ligaments, but I'm pretty sure it's tendon. Anyways, it's been feeling iffy. And so, my thought process is, all right, I'll lower the load, but a little bit more reps. That way the overall, work being done is still the same. And, that makes sense from a logical standpoint to me, and then also from even just like, an actual analytical standpoint, like, physics wise in the sense, or engineering wise in the sense of, without going too nerdy into it, I'll try and explain it simply. Let's say you build a bridge, and the bridge can only withstand, I'll choose little numbers, let's say 1,000 pounds of load at a time. And I need to move 10,000 pounds of load from one side of the bridge to the other. And that moving the 10,000 pounds represents the however much actual work on my muscle, my tricep I need to do today to grow. And so, yes, I could do the lower volume sets and try and move, 5 loads of 2,000 pounds across the bridge. But guess what? That might break our bridge because it's only rated to safely withstand 1,000 pounds of load. So if I do, 1,000, 10 cars of 1,000, or 20 cars of 500 pounds, and yet I'm still getting the same amount of load from point A to point B. Granted, I'm having to do a little bit more, so there's a little more involved. The same thing's getting done. And I think this analogy might even be a good analogy for explaining to people why lower volume, strictly speaking from just a on paper standpoint, is potentially better. Or the idea and rationale behind it. When you do lower volume, you're doing less unnecessary reps or less excess reps in your set and getting more out of each individual rep. Because in the end, it's the end of the set that really matters. If I go to failure at 6 reps, so long as those last 2 reps look the same as going to failure at 15 reps, it's essentially the same. But one of them, you get to do it with only doing 6 reps versus 15. And so the same thing with the cars analogy. If I was able to, if we took away the safety limit of the bridge, it would make a lot more sense to move, 2 loads of 5,000 pounds rather than 10 separate loads of 1,000 pounds, because now I'm having to use maybe 10 different cars. There's going to be other aspects now coming into play. It's going to cost potentially maybe more gas. In practice, it would. You might need more drivers because you're having more cars. Might take more time. And so you have all these aspects that come into play where you start realizing, okay, even though you're getting the same thing done, you're going to have less excess factors potentially pulling back on the actual project itself. And in the bridge scenario, it's okay, all these extra factors are things that are going to make the project cost more. Dude, I know you see my turn signal. Come on. Butthole. Anywho, so, all those excess factors make the project cost more. And then the same thing in the gym, all those excess factors are the extra reps and stuff is more fatigue on your system. And so that's why on paper and the rationale behind, lower volume training is better. But then again, there's a lot of other aspects that really can come into play when it comes to deciding what's going to be best for the individual. But for today, in a really long way of explaining it, that's why I'm planning to do higher rep sets for my triceps. To try and take a little less brunt off of my actual elbow joint. And technically, there's no free lunch, so that extra brunt might come in the form of, get replaced in the form of, because it's more reps in a set, maybe there might be more systemic fatigue, more energy loss, more time, whatever. But I mean, that's again why I say there's a lot of external factors that come into actually making the individual decision. As I explained, even though it might be a little less ideal, it's going to work better for my plan for today. Biceps, not too much to talk about with. God, it is packed. I'll do a little loop around, see if I can find a spot. But yeah, biceps going to be pretty simple. I might do really okay. Anyways, so there wasn't too much left for me to talk about anyways. The only other thing that I can just talk about it on the way home. I'm wearing long sleeves now. I'm wearing long sleeves because today, as the bulk gets further and just, also not feeling well this week, I just feel pretty watery today. I feel not as veiny, not as dry, not as vascular. and I mean, I'll talk about this more. So, on the drive home, get a little bit. That's an awful parking job. Is that who I think it is? Is that my roommate? I'm gonna give him shit if so. Oh. It is him, but he's adjusting. Okay. I was going to say. Anywho. But yeah, so I'll talk about, what the whole mental thing that I was going to talk about. More so on the drive home. Maybe it'll be a good talking point. Good things for people to hear, maybe. I don't know. I'll open up a little bit. But in the meantime, I'm going to go do some sets and repetitions. A little too late. I think.
Yeah, you're making my last one done. So good? 10 seconds.
Not at our house. I usually go for
Okay. I wanted to make sure the mic was still on. All right, real quick, because the lift did end up getting cut. Well, the lift didn't get cut short. The filming did. So I got through, I think, halfway through biceps. I'm gonna do forearms. Later this evening when I go, and because I'm gonna put in some treadmill time this evening, sometime before bed. And so I'll just do forearms while I'm there. So that's a pretty simple thing to do. I'll do that at my apartment community gym. But yeah, it was busy, and so after 4, again, like I've said before, you're not supposed to film. I believe the owner, because it's a newer rule relative. When I say newer, like it wasn't there when I first had my membership and came here to school. And so I talked to on her about it a few times, and to my understanding, I don't think he has a problem with it. He's never said anything to me, and to my understanding, he knows that I do. I believe the understanding is just, if somebody says something, don't, and if you can, and there's a lot of people in here, even if nobody says something, try not to. And so there's a lot of people, blah blah blah, whatever. So I put it away. I was like, you know what, I got in what I could. There's a lot of people, and people were starting to fill up some of the machines even closer to me, so it was really hard for me to try and be as conscious of the people there, in the sense of trying to minimize people in the background, yada yada. Hence why those last few sets of bicep curls that you saw, I had the machine up in my face. Reading the text, sorry. Anyways, so yeah, that is for that. Aside from that, I feel like the lift was decent, good. I will say sometimes of the past few days, getting in, I don't want to say a rut, but as I've been filming the list for a while now, sometimes I wonder how much I'm just, not progressing or not pushing myself as much as I could. But, I'll have to just do some more thinking on that philosophically later. Because in the end, I think I'm pushing myself. It's just a different style of training than what I did all through prep, so now I'm just kind of second-guessing myself. Anyways, I should probably get started heading home. So let me buckle up first. Yeah, so that's the first little thing I was gonna... I can't stop yawning. Talk about the other thing that I want to talk about a little bit more real, or I guess open, vulnerable, whatever. So, admittedly, and I've only really been kind of noticing of this, I guess, over the past couple days, I do kind of feel like the filming stuff is starting to take a little bit of a toll on my mental health. And I say that cautiously because I don't want to sound like, oh, blah, because, there's a lot bigger things that people deal with than just having to bring your camera with you and record your workouts. So I'm not saying this to be woe is me. I'm more so just trying to, so I was texting my buddy about this. He's like, well, you could always just kind of talk about it, because it's probably a relatable feeling for people. So I'll get into what I'm talking about. As you can tell, I don't feel comfortable talking about this, hence I'm just kind of verbally going in circles. But so I'm trying to think where I was mentally in my word. Yeah, so before I filmed for YouTube, I've always been very strict when it comes to routine and stuff like that. Even in the last off season, I never went off plan. My coach gave me a food plan, and each meal was split up with ideal macros, and I had my macro day. But every once in a while, I would have, maybe if I wanted to have something a little different, I'd kind of macro swap a meal. So maybe the macros in meal 5 or meal 6 would be the exact same thing as the meal plan, but just different food sources. Or maybe if I wanted to go out and have dinner with Anna or with family, I would pull some macros out of meal 5 and put them into meal 7, or I'm just speaking arbitrarily. And I haven't done that. I haven't taken a rest day really in 2-3 months. And I don't even macro swap stuff. I don't eat different. I mean, my coach, usually in the off season, I have a weekly untracked meal. I haven't even been taking those. Because it's the off season. If you're eating on plan, you're doing all your stuff, you're doing your cardio, you're lifting, having one pizza or whatever isn't really going to harm you if you have it every so often, once in a blue moon, or maybe not a whole pizza, but having a sub or nice dinner. Anyways, so I haven't been doing that. And so for the past, however long I've really been filming, every single day has been routine. And granted, it's beneficial, but almost to what I'm starting to wonder is a little bit of an unhealthy extent. For example, I wake up, I have the same meal at the same time every single day. I have the same meals at the same time of day, virtually, and the same food ingredients. I'm never taking my meal that's chicken and rice and swapping it with, protein powder and cereal or donuts or just anything that would be similar. It's always the exact same thing. And now I'm not crapping on the people that are doing it. The point of what I'm talking about is I want to talk about why I haven't, because, even as I'm explaining it, it probably sounds a little over the top. Before I did YouTube, and before I started doing this, when all I was doing was TikTok, it was a lot simpler. If I go to the gym, if I like how I look that day, I'm like, damn, the pump is pumping. I just feel like I look freaky today. I'm gonna get some clips. And maybe take some pictures or whatever for content. And now if I like how I look, I get some clips, get some pictures for content. And if I don't like how I look, nothing happens. I just do my lift and I go home. And the other thing about, taking content for maybe a TikTok post or an Instagram post, you can choose all your angles, you can choose all your lighting, you can show yourself in, the best way that you can present your physique. And then, with YouTube and, vlogging the workouts, every set is recorded. I mean, aside from, if I get shut down, but you know what I'm talking about. Every set's recorded. I don't really get to, nitpick all the lighting. Or all the angles. I'm recording where I can put the camera to show the lift, or to not get in trouble or not be in people's ways. And the lighting is whatever the lighting is at the exercise that I'm doing. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little freaky to me. I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a self-conscious person. I am. Everybody, I feel like, compares themselves, whether you're comparing yourself to what you want, to other people, etc. And so, I feel more comfortable or more safe in the consistency of not changing the routine almost to an unhealthy level, because I know what's going to happen. If I take a cheat meal today, I could wake up tomorrow and feel watery, or maybe a little flat. Or if I time my meals differently, I could be a little flat tomorrow. As I was saying, if I time my meals different, I could be flat. And just, if everything's not consistent, that's cool. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There's a guy with a walking stick. You might have, I think he's blind. I don't know. Sorry, I don't think I've ever personally seen a blind person in person in real life, so I got distracted. Anyways, that was kind of cool. So, as I was talking about, where was I? Self-conscious person. If food is different, if there's variables that are different, you could wake up looking differently one day. Maybe you're watery, maybe you're flat, maybe your pump isn't as good. And the fact that I can't hide on an off day, honestly, is the more I've been thinking about it and trying to process and think about why I've been feeling the way I feel about certain things. I think it's maybe scares an excessive word, but I don't like the idea that I can't hide. If I go to the gym and I feel watery, I feel self-conscious. And I'm going to feel overly self-conscious if I know that I got to be on video and I got to show it to the world. I can't just go and do my lift and just, it's just an off day, but we're going to get the workout in and go home. No, I gotta put myself out on display. And again, not like I have to. Nobody's making me record this stuff, but it's something that I want to pursue, something that I want to do. I think there might be a small number of people that do appreciate the content, and obviously I would like to keep doing it for those people, and if that number becomes more, then that's cool. But if it's something I want to pursue, I'm just, I've been thinking about it the past day or so. And, obviously the easiest answer would just be, oh, I'll just stop filming. Then it's like, is that really smart? Because theoretically, granted, I could keep filming this for the rest of my life, every single day, and it never goes anywhere. I never get a lot of subscribers. It never really does anything for me, and in the end, it's time spent without much, uh, anything, much in return. And then theoretically, I could also wake up tomorrow and have a shitload of subscribers and be making money off the views. And so, part of the way that I view this is it's a potential door in which there's a possibility that I could reap benefits. Maybe it's financial support because, the account gets big and, views, and obviously that's, beneficial for an obvious reason. Maybe it gets my name out there in the industry and just whatever. So there's potential benefits. I'm not saying they're guaranteed. I'm not saying they're going to happen, but there's potential. And it would feel short-sighted to step away from it if there's a potential in it becoming... Sorry, I'm reading a text on my phone. Becoming beneficial. So, that answer doesn't really pan out. But yeah, so just, in short, because I'm home, I don't know, it's just something I gotta think about. Maybe I just start wearing, just oversized long sleeves and hoodies. And maybe that'll make me feel a little more comfortable to have a cheat meal. And then the other thing also is... I don't have too much time to get into all the in-depths of how I feel. So for me, Dorian Yates is probably one of my biggest influences in terms of, being intrigued or interested in bodybuilding. One of my biggest influences in terms of philosophy towards the sport or the passion, mentality. And, he was always described as like a monk level of, dedicated and consistent. And so... sometimes I think about it and I'm like, all right, well, here's this guy that I look up to and want to be like. And if I can't even do it to the extent that he did it, how can I ever expect to be like that? And obviously that's a high bar to set for yourself, but you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say of, if you compare yourself to your idol or whatever, and you know the processes that they took, it's easy to kind of get in your head and be like, I feel like I need to do things the same way that they did. But so yeah, I'm just in my head about a lot of stuff and about the whole filming thing. And it's not that I necessarily need that's one of Anna's friends. Oh crap. Oh, I don't know if you can even see that on camera. Do you guys ever do that and then get a cramp in your neck? Anyways. Where was I? Yeah. Because it's not like I feel like I need to take a untracked meal or I need to take a rest day or whatever. For the past however long it's been, honestly, I've been managing, but, eventually you need mental breaks. Eventually you need to have a fucking donut and not break down because of it. Eventually you need to have a slice of pizza and not feel anxious about it. So I gotta find ways to pursue this and bodybuilding. And this has been something that I've been struggling with ever since I started pursuing bodybuilding. But just finding ways to pursue it in the most productive and effective way possible while still making it a healthy, balanced lifestyle. So, in the words of my buddy Chase, who I was texting about this, whatever. But, so yeah, that's why you might be seeing me in more long sleeves, and admittedly, why I was kind of in a bad mood yesterday when I said I cut the video short because I just didn't, I just felt off. I didn't like how I looked. Didn't like how the weights are feeling. It's a lot easier to get in your head as the bulk goes further. Not just comparing yourself to other people, but also comparing yourself to, like, God, I feel like I'm putting on fat. I feel fat. But anyways, enough whining from me. I should probably man up, to quote Mike Tyson. Anyways, that's that. I'm gonna go inside, do homework, eat, and get about my life.